Good night, Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Yisro. The I don't love having my microphone in the picture, but I don't have much of a choice right now because came back from Poland with a lot of incredible things, but one of them is a cold. So if my voice is going to be heard, it's going to have to be a little bit closer to the mic. The incredible thing in the Pasha, the famous Gemara that Kosh Baruch Hu goes around to all nations of the world and says to them that they ask them if they want the Torah. And every nation asks, Akosaba, what does it say? And into the one nation it says don't kill. So he said, I'm sorry, but we're killers. We can't take that. Another nation says, don't steal. Sorry, we're robbers. We can't live by that. The third nation, don't commit adultery. I'm sorry, we live by that. So he goes to the Jews and he says to them, you want the Torah? And we didn't ask Makazaba, we didn't ask what's inside of it, we didn't ask anything. We just said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we'll take it. Okay, beautiful. It's a beautiful Gemara. There's a lot to do with that Gemara. Tremendous amount of things. But there's a big bomb question on that. When he goes to the first nation, he goes to Yishmael, and he says to them, it says you can't steal. They said, oh, I'm sorry, we can't take a Torah that says you can't steal. What do you mean? You can't steal anyway. Whether you get a Torah, whether you don't get a Torah, it says already that you're not allowed to steal. It's already in the Shem Mitzvah Noach that you can't kill. It's already in the Shem Mitzvah Noach that you can't commit adultery. The 7 Noachide laws already cover that. So why would they reject the Torah because it says that you can't kill or you can't steal or you can't commit adultery when that was already something that was in their books? It was already a rule that they had to live by. So I think that what needs to be understood is that at the end of the day, when God was asking them if they wanted the Torah, he wasn't asking them if they wanted rules. What he was asking them is if they wanted a lifestyle. Because when it says in the Torah to the Jews, don't kill, it doesn't mean just don't kill. It means don't destroy a character. Don't embarrass somebody in public. Don't do things that put in danger other people's lives. Live like a person who's worried about other people, who has other people in his scope. The same as don't steal. Don't steal is not just don't take money out of a person's pocket. Don't steal their mind. Don't fool them. Don't make them think one thing and the reality is something different. Don't take away their sleep. Worry about, be concerned about the boundaries of another person. Be concerned about the life of another person. When it says don't commit adultery, it means live a life of Kedusha. Live a life of sanctity. Don't live a life in the street. Rules the nations of the world had no problem with. They weren't denying that they had these rules. Okay, we have to keep the 7 Mitzvah Noach, we have to keep the 7 Noachide laws. They didn't say no to the rules. What they were saying no to is the lifestyle. Rules I can keep. Lifestyle's not for me. When they were rejecting the Torah, they weren't rejecting the rules of the Torah. They were rejecting what the Torah really is, because Torah is not really rules. We have reduced it to rules. That we've reduced it to the concept that we explain the Taryag Mitzvah, 613 mitzvahs, 613 rules. They're not. There's 613 ways to develop a human being. A human being that cares about others, a human being that cares about himself, a human being that lifts himself up, a human being that is constantly working on improving himself, constantly working on becoming a better person all the time with those sights in his mind, trying to live a more godly life. That's what the mitzvahs do. The mitzvahs are not just ends in themselves. They are to get to the place of having a relationship with God and being a godly human being, taking that neshama that God gave you, that tahirihi, that beautiful, sanctified neshama, and lifting it up and doing something with it, becoming a mensch, becoming a human being. You can only do that with the Torah. And if that's the case, so then what they were rejecting is they were rejecting the Torah, but it wasn't the Torah. It was the rules. It was the lifestyle. The rules that we're willing to accept, which only underscores for us of when we talk about Kabbalah Torah, when we talk about receiving the Torah with this whole parsha, what it has to inspire us to is the realization that it's not just about the laws. The laws, without the laws, you're not going to get to the places you have to get to. But it's about getting to the places you have to get to. It's not about saying Shema twice a day. It's about being makabel omach shemayim, accepting the yoke of heaven and recognizing what that means to have the yoke of heaven in your life, to have a yoke, to have a sense of responsibility in your life, and to live with responsibility. That's a huge thing. That you become a type of person. That's what the mitzvahs are trying to do for us. And that's what we have to recognize in Kabbalas Torah. We know that in the air this Shabbos, we live by the Parshas, so in the air this Shabbos is the strands of Kabbalas Torah, that you can be Makabel Torah, you can reinvigorate yourself with your acceptance of Torah. But what you have to reinvigorate yourself to is not the acceptance of rules and laws. I'm going to be more careful with this law, with that law. I'm going to be more careful with developing myself and with the law, with what the particular halacha, particular law is trying to develop within me. And that's why I don't have to keep all the laws, i.e. it's the laws of sacrifices. The laws of sacrifices can have a tremendous effect on my neshama without, and my character and my midos and the kind of person that I am, without me ever doing a sacrifice. Now, it's better if I could do the sacrifice because then it can make a real change, but I could do it even by just learning about the sacrifices. We're learning now in Daf Yomi, Zvachim, and Menachos. We're learning the section of the Talmud that deals with sacrifices. And you can look at it and you can go, like, what a waste of time. Like, we don't have a basis to make this right now, and I'm not a kohen. Like, what do I need it for? Because there are principles that come out of it. There is discipline that comes out of it. There is character development that comes out of it that's critical. Because that's what the Torah is all about. Torah is all about developing yourself as a person. And when you develop yourself as a person, then you know you're God's people. You do laws, you do rules, you could be anybody. But when you develop yourself, as you use the Torah to develop yourself as a person, that's when you become quintessentially God's people. And that is one of the things that I picked up in Poland. As I always do, become reinvigorated to this. When hearing the stories and telling over the stories of people in their last moments, of the things they said and the things they did, and before the light is snuffed out, there's always this burst of energy in the flame, and the realization that the burst of energy was not just in the actions that they did, but that the stellar, incredible human beings that people were came out, and it was apparent that there is no nation like the Jewish nation. There is no people like the Jewish people. Because as we were being slaughtered and as we were being snuffed out, the lights continued to shine brightly. And the kinds of people that we became as we left this world was just incredible. And that's, I think, something to remember, that's what the Torah is doing for us. That's why that there is no nation like the Jewish nation. There's no people like the Jewish people, because there is no Torah like the Jewish Torah, because the Jewish Torah is not rules. The Jewish Torah is a way of living and existing, of not just doing the right thing, but being the right kind of person. We should have a beautiful, amazing, and awesome Shabbos.